Hello everyone. Today we are exploring a central Islamic ideology that is very important for all of us to understand. It is called fundamentalism or Islamism. As I'm recording this video, news from an Islamic terror attack in Pakistan is broadcasting on different media channels. If you are curious about the cause of such violence, then this video is for you. Stick around because we are going to explore it all. For more in-depth information, you can check out my book, Ask Your Muslim Friend, where I cover this topic in section 1.6.8. First, let me emphasize that it is important to understand that Islamic fundamentalism is an ideology which advocates the following three basic points. First, literal interpretation of the Quran. Second, the strict implementation of the Sharia. And thirdly, every country on earth must become an Islamic state. Today Muslims prefer to rather use the term Islamism than fundamentalism. The understanding is the same. It confirms that Islam is not just a religion, but embraces everything, namely the political system, the economic state of the states, the whole social life. Islamism developed during the 19th and 20th centuries and is seen as a reaction to colonization through Western powers. It was an overwhelming shame to all Muslims that Muslim lands were subdued and governed by nations that were infidels in their sights. This dishonored not only Muslims but also Allah, and this needs to be revenged. Thus, the advance of Western ideas into the Muslim world was interpreted by Muslims as impure and needed to be reacted to. It was the rise of Islamism, basically a return to the roots of Islamic beliefs. Islamists declare that the original Islam, the Islam at Muhammad's time, is the only ideal and all Muslims need to live accordingly even in modern days. I have personally spoken to several Muslims who like to propagate this ideal. However, the question which comes immediately is, how is it possible that Muslims will be able to live exactly in the same way as Muhammad did? Today, the social life, the advance of technical means and also the cultural life is much different than 1,400 years ago. Dear friends, I'd just like to share a practical example. Some time ago, while visiting a Muslim friend, he told me that he was contemplating how he could be a better Muslim. He was contemplating what is true Islam. He was convinced that if he lived as Muhammad did, then Allah would be more pleased with him and he would be blessed. As an example, he mentioned to me that he should not drive a car since Muhammad never had a car, but used a camel while traveling. What should he do? In addition, there were many more issues that he was thinking about, such as whether should he also not use a computer, since Muhammad never had a computer. These thoughts caused many hardships to my friend, since he was eager to please Allah on the one hand, but on the other hand, he was not willing to be without modern equipment. Thus, he was unsure what the correct answers were concerning his lifestyle. Besides, there is a big problem concerning this ideal, and this divides the Islamists into three parties. First, those who claim that the ideal life of Muhammad was during his time in Mecca, and this is from 570 to 622 AD. Secondly, those who claim that the ideal life of Muhammad was during his life in Medina, which need to be followed, is during the period of 622 to 632 AD. Thirdly, those who believe that the ideal encompasses the whole life of Muhammad, namely from 570 to 632 AD. Which group is now right? It is clear that the first period of Muhammad's life was rather peaceful, whereas the second period was more militant, since Muhammad built up an army of over 10,000 soldiers and conquered land and killed his enemies. Hey, if you are finding this interesting so far, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into unique faith and belief systems. It is important to note that there are historical events which gave rise to the start of Islamism. These are, first, at the end of World War I, in 1918, the Ottoman Empire was under the control of Western powers. This was to the Muslim world intolerable. Secondly, in 1924, Ataturk established a secular state in Turkey. Many Muslims reacted negatively to this. Thirdly, the events in Turkey gave rise to Islamism, and a spiritual leader, Sheikh Hassan al-Banna, started the Muslim Brotherhood movement in Egypt. This movement was aggressive and started to use terrorism to pursue its agenda. Fourthly, after Israel was established as a nation in 1948, the radical fundamentalist groups flourished even more. They declared a holy war against Israel. New jihad groups arose. They acted against any who they did not regard as true Muslims. If you are enjoying this breakdown of Islamism ideology, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have more content like this coming your way. Next, we can summarize the profile of a jihad group as follows. Purification within, which means to eliminate all sources which compete with Allah, thus to destroy all books except the Quran and commentaries. Also, no authority except Allah is accepted. Next, using physical violence to achieve the goals. And then, no mercy or compromise in the war. Jihad should be enforced. Also, the ultimate goal is to establish Islamic law in every country worldwide. Said Qutb is the father of modern jihad. He was chosen by the Egyptian government in 1948 to study in the USA. He came back filled with both envy and hostility towards the USA and Western countries in general. He then joined the Muslim Brotherhood movement. He wrote more than 7 books and is seen as the founding father of modern jihad. The Egyptian government did not like these books and sentenced Said Qutb to death. They tried to destroy all books, but they survived and are available on the black market. Said Qutb and his books became the heartbeat of the radical Islamic movements of today. He became the spiritual leader of today's Islamic terrorist groups. He felt that the world had regressed to the way it was before Muhammad's time, being pagan and full of idols. He also felt that Allah is the only ruler over earth, and thus All man-made systems of government must be rejected, such as democracy, socialism, dictatorship and communism. He was convinced that good and evil cannot live together. The way of man should be destroyed, and the only way to follow is the way of Allah. To conclude this talk, let us again come back to the crucial question which has ever since been discussed among Muslim people, and no enlightening answer has been found so far. On the contrary, this question has contributed to causing decisions and hatred among Muslim people. The question is, what is the true face of Islam? There are three possible answers. First, Muhammad during 570 to 622 AD. He was then mainly a spiritual leader and acted as a preacher. Secondly, Muhammad during 622 to 632 AD. During this time, he was mainly a military leader, building up a huge army and conquering foreign lands. Thirdly, a mixture of point 1 and 2. The question which Muslims face is now, how should they act? Should they be rather peaceful, or should they use physical force to spread Islam? Or should they act sometimes peacefully and sometimes with violence? Of course, there are many other points to consider when we talk about Islamic fundamentalism, like political, social and economic factors, media and stereotyping, etc. But I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about fundamentalism, extremism or violence in Islam? Have you had any experiences with Islamists? What do you think about their ideology? Does that view represent Islam or just that certain sectarian groups? Which of the parties do you think is the correct one? Muhammad at Mecca or Muhammad at Medina, or a mixture? How would you define, according to your view, what is true Islam? Or according to your point of view, what does the Quran say about Islamism ideology? Share your thoughts and experience in the comments below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you find this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or want to dive deeper into this topic, leave them in the comments and I will be happy to respond. You can also find more detailed information in my book, available for free download on our website. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care and God bless.